everyone, this is Danielle, also known as Gently Smiling Jaws, and welcome to my Flosstube. This video may be a bit longer than my other ones have been. I actually made some notes of what I would talk about today, so I didn't forget, but I've got a number of things going on. I think today I will probably start in with the whips first. And with that I've got, I'm going to have some tea and I will talk about tea, but I will leave that till further in. But I will get into the whips. I have more whips to show this week because I feel like overall I did less cross-stitching than perhaps I could or should have, but I did make an effort to work on a number of different things because normally I feel like I get bored if I just do one thing. I do need some variety, but I also, feel like if I can focus on one thing and I feel like I make a good chunk of progress, that's a good thing. But this time I went for smaller progress over a few things, and I pulled out in particular one thing I hadn't worked on for quite a while. So I will get into that in a moment here. So, to start with, I worked on the modern folk embroidery Here Be Dragons, and I got, let's hold this up here. So I worked more on this top border, so I'm now at the point where I have, even though that top border isn't fully, completed across, up at the top here I've at least got the full width done, and I am quite enjoying this. I'm still quite enjoying the combination of this particular silken colors and this Bestitch Me fabric, and of course I don't have notes in front of me of which particular ones those are, and I know I've mentioned it on a previous video, but maybe I'll have to make a note of that and add it in down in the description when I do editing. But yes, so it's a pretty thick border here, and I think once I get further down, obviously there's the bigger dragon in the middle, but there should be kind of overall sort of, other than the dragon, there's some space around it and stuff, so we'll see how things progress. But yes, this is the one that I had started this year because it's the year of the dragon, and this is a pattern that I had purchased quite some time ago, and as you know, the whole getting of cross-stitch supplies and patterns is a separate hobby from actually doing the cross-stitch, but I decided that this year it was appropriate to at the very least get started on it. We will see how far I get this year, but I am pleased with what I have done so far. So that was nice to spend some time on that. And I think I did make notes of overall how much I got done on each one. So this one I got 260 stitches into, so not a ton, but I did get, some progress on this. So that's the first whip that I worked on. Second is I pulled back out from Yalda to Nowruz by Miriam from Marroomy Designs, and I still haven't made a ton of progress. I'm still on that top band, but I did get in 526 stitches. So my hope here is that if I continue working along, getting I just have to do a bit more, and then I will have this side of things done, and then I have to come back across for the width here. But if I can get that up there and then start working down, then I can finally force myself to come to a decision on exactly what colors I'm going to be using for the bands. And this first band was one where there was two options, so having to come to a for a certain decision on colors, as well as make a decision on which of the design options to use for the first band on that. So obviously the now that we have past, Nowruz. Ideally, I would have made more progress on this by now, but I continuing to progress, even if it is not quite at the speed that I would have liked. I feel like, so many of the projects I pick up, like in particular the modern folk embroidery sal that I'll be, showing soon. I feel like I could or should have made more progress, and I feel like I need to start reframing that in my mind, that progress is progress, that this is a hobby, and although, ideally there are, I guess, certain things, if they have deadlines because it is a gift to somebody, which I'm trying not to do that this year, or there's some other reason that there's a deadline, then that's one thing. But if it's stuff that's just for me, just for my enjoyment, putting in some time, getting some stitches in, that's progress, and maybe it's not as much progress as I would have liked, but it's still progress and still moving towards a goal. So, do I wish I was further along? Sure. However, I am a little bit more than 500 stitches further than I was previously, so I'm still closer to, some more progress, that much closer to having it done. Though obviously there's quite a long ways to go, but that just means there's still a lot of enjoyment to get out of stitching it. So that was my second whip. And I talked about, well, once I do more on this and get to the point where I'm, settling on floss colors, I'll go more in depth. But on a previous video, I had showed some of the things I'm considering. There's some cottage garden threads that I have, and I picked out some colors, and I'm trying to decide. I've got some bright kind of rainbowish colors, but I'm trying to decide exactly which colors to use and with which numbers of bands to how to make things work, how I want to work it out. So choices to be made, but I haven't had to make that decision just yet. Next up is No Time Like the Present, the Modern Folk Embroidery Sale. And this, I only have about 250 stitches more than I did last time. So I've added in some more up here. I still have all this on the other side yet. I think that maybe stitch-wise, I'm probably about where I should have been at the end of February. So height-wise, I'm probably around where I should be for March on this side, but I still have all this to do over there. So, but still, it's progress. And, the areas in here where you can do some nice long stretches of stitching, that's sort of nice. If I'm sitting there and, watching, whether it's a Flosstube video or some other YouTube video or some, TV show, there's some areas of this where, it's, again, like many things, depending on how much attention you have to pay to the particular area that you're working on. There were some areas where you really need to be paying closer attention, and then other areas you can let your mind and focus wander a little bit more, as long as you're paying attention to some things. So, not as much progress as I ideally would have gotten on this, but I think that as long as, for each floss tube, I'm picking this project up and putting in more stitches so I have steady progress. And if I'm not, like devoting a good chunk of my weekend to, putting in, like 1,000 stitches, so, and sometimes I don't want to do that, but I do want to keep making progress. So I think consistent stitching on this, no matter the number of stitches, is the key to keep it moving along. If I just keep going back to it, keep doing more and focusing on, putting stitches in and steady work versus hit this number of stitches by a certain date and make sure it gets finished by a certain time. I think, you know, as this year continues, it will be interesting to see how I feel about an approach, you know, what works best for me for stitching something like this, and whether doing a sal with this many stitches in you know, the course of a year, or I guess, you know, if you're following along with the monthly sections, I think it's like 10 months that this would be finished in. And so I think, you know, whenever I end up finishing this, going through this progress is going to teach me quite a bit about how I stitch and what works best for me. So it's a learning experience, whether it gets finished on time or not. So, but still, some progress was made. Okay, next, in another one with not a whole lot done here for the March airmail pattern, I got this other shamrock put on. So just over 100 stitches. Not a ton of progress here, but I picked it up, added some more. I think what I'm going to work on next on this is probably start getting in the now I'm blanking on the number of cents that goes on this, but that text down here is what I'm going to kind of focus on next. I had hoped to maybe get some more done in on this one, but hey, you know, maybe I can still get a chunk in before the end of the month. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. I'm thinking about what I have on my plate to do before the end of the month, and that may or may not happen, but we'll see. I'll try and at least get a little bit more done before the end of the month. But again, I will keep on keeping on with this one, and unlike the Modern Folk Embroidery one, obviously it's a much smaller piece. So you know, whenever I'm able to, you know, kind of focus some time in on this, on a piece of this size, if you know, spend a good chunk of time on a couple of days on it, you can really start seeing some progress. So continuing to work on this here, and we'll see how things go. Okay, move that needle there, and then, oh, since I see it peeking out here, since I didn't think I showed it much on there, you can see part of the little feather border that I have going on this here, and I still have to finish adding that around this whole thing. So there it is. Now this next one I should have looked up when I last worked on it. It was some time ago. It was sometime last year that I last worked on Dragons of Sumatra, which I realize I should have been working more on because it's Dragons of Sumatra and it's You're the Dragon. When I had first started this, I was really enjoying it, and this was all that I wanted to work on for a while, and you know, so I got a chunk of it done. I'd have to look to see percentage wise. Do I have a, can I see where I'm at on this? One moment. I think now with the stitching I've done over the last few days, which is looks like it did 575 stitches, so I'm now a bit over 8% done. So I've got some of the border here. So what I worked on was there were some spaces here where I needed to get these little shorter segments added in, and then worked on a chunk of this border here to kind of get that area done. This has more to go down, and then obviously there's all this in the middle, which I have not even touched yet. This, if I am remembering correctly, the floss is Silken Colors, a lizard back, and the fabric is Bestitch Me, is it Meadow or Meadows in 40 count. Let me see if I can get that up here. see the colors. So yeah, picking this back up, I was quite enjoying this. And again, it's sort of like now I want to keep working more on this, so we'll see what more I get done before, you know, kind of setting it back down for a bit. But this, as I'm working on this more, and we'll see as things progress, my original intention was to do this all in this lizard back color. Now I am considering that maybe like one or two of the dragon motifs I may do in a slightly different color. I have to see what I have on hand once I get to the point where I would be doing that, and see whether that's a choice I want to make or not. I don't know that if I decide to do that, I don't know that I want to pick up any more floss to make it happen, but I'm going to see what I've got and make some decisions. We'll see. Not fully decided. So this is one that I've been kind of meaning to get back to for a while, and part of this was the watching the video that I'm trying to remember. This recent one, was it on Nithya's channel? The was it the what do they call themselves? The Quad City Needle Minders. Their Flosstube, where they do their Zoom call, where quarterly, that's for this video. And the first one they did, they were doing a talking about their lemon projects, where you know, they were asking each other, you know, saying, here's a project that's giving me trouble, you know, what would you recommend? What suggestions do you have? So that first video was really interesting to watch. This more recent one was one where they gave updates on those projects, as well as talked about you know, other projects that they were working on, and particularly choices having to do, like color choices and choosing colors and things having to do with colors. And it was quite interesting, and it was actually something that was sort of perfect for me to be hearing quite then. But yeah, that's something where if you haven't seen that, check it out. It was quite fun to watch. And so this is the last of my whips since my last video. I do have some other cross-stitch stuff to get to, but I think for now I'm going to talk about tea, because my voice and throat are saying it's time for another sip of tea, so I might as well get into that. Sip this. Okay, had another sip of tea. Here, maybe I should show my mug. It's perhaps a little out of season at this point in the year, but it's quite fun with birds and their hats. I got this a number of years ago at a fair, and unfortunately the name of the artist is, the name or the initials is on the bottom, and unfortunately I can't decipher now who the artist is, because I would like to find more of their stuff, because I quite enjoy this mug. But teas, I actually have more to talk about with teas this time, and it's a little different, because I've talked in the past how I drink all kinds of tea. I do drink bag tea. I drink you know, loose leaf tea of various kinds, and my preference is for, you know, loose leaf tea. But I do drink bag tea at work and sometimes at home, and it's for convenience, because sometimes I want to be lazy. Other times I like to go through the process of picking out what tea I want, and, you know, if it's like from a cake, you know, getting out, you know, the various you know, picks, prying apart the cake, going through the whole process with doing, you know, the numerous, you know, steepings of the tea, and that's quite enjoyable. But certain times I want to be lazy, and I was feeling lazy this week, and I had recently got in some different teas that I had wanted to try. And this is the one that had caught my attention first. It was a Yorkshire Tea toast and jam. There's 40 tea bags in here, so there's a good number of tea bags in this. They're sort of in the same format as if you're familiar with the Celestial Seasonings bags as well, where it's a, doesn't have the string or the tag on it. It's just, you have the tea bags, with the perforation, and you pull them apart, and then you've got your one tea bag to put in your mug. So I think maybe I had been watching a YouTube video quite some time ago. It might have even been, years ago, that had showed someone as part of their video. The video wasn't focused on tea, but they were having some of this tea as part of it. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, toast and jam tea. And so I've sort of had it in the back of my mind that maybe at some point I would like to try this. This is something where I ended up ordering these 3 flavors off of Amazon because it doesn't seem like something that, is, like, obviously there are places that you can order it, but it's not like, a lot of the tea brands that are readily available here in the US. You can obviously, get this places, but it seems to be definitely more of a sold in the UK sort of thing. So when I decided to order this, I don't order from, Amazon nearly as much as I used to years ago. I still use them, but I am much more judicious about where I place my orders. Certainly as a customer, they are very convenient, but there are plenty of things I don't like about them. So when there are things that I need to order, I tend to try and think of anything that I could, possibly need that maybe I've been holding off on getting, do one order to sort of get all that stuff, and then not place another order from them for months. But so as long as I was getting this, there was a couple other flavors that I wanted to look at as well. So I got this toast and jam. There's also a malty biscuit flavor tea. And then there is a decaf bedtime brew. And I guess I should say, okay, the toast and jam says tastes like jam on toast. The malty biscuit says tastes like tea and biscuits. And this decaf bedtime brew says with vanilla and nutmeg. So I got these 3, and I had started with the toast and jam one. And to explain a bit more, like I said, when I have bagged tea, it's when I'm feeling lazy, and normally I'm somebody who just tosses in the tea bag and just leaves it in there and keeps adding water. And that's just normally the way I do it, and that's how I did it. And I discovered that is really not the way to have this tea, because over the course of the last week or so, I've been having these teas quite a bit as I was trying to figure out whether I liked them, how much I like them, what I was gonna do with them. So I discovered pretty quickly that tossing the tea bag in there and leaving it was not the way to go. So for this, I found that it really did improve it by just leaving the tea bag in for a short amount of time, and then fishing it out. And then I would have my cup of tea, and then maybe I would, you put the bag back in again later and do another brew, but leaving the bag in there was not the way to go. I did not like the flavor. But with having the bag only in there a bit and taking it out, which, I guess is more the way you're supposed to do it, it was, significantly better. It does have a, sort of jam on toast flavor. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't take a sip of it and, say, oh yes, it's exactly like having, a bite of toast with jam. I wouldn't say that that's exactly it, but it is, it is that kind of flavor, and it is enjoyable. So I and actually that's what I have in here right now. This, the multi-biscuit one, I had given that one a go, and the first time I had kind of tried again with not having the tea bag in there that long. I think that at least for my taste, I had still left it in there a bit long, but I had some yesterday and didn't have it in there too long, and then took a sip of it and thought, oh, this is quite good. I actually like this. So yeah, so I think with all of them, once I figured out how to do things for my taste, that I enjoyed it quite a bit more. And for, you know, the vast majority of teas, if I leave the tea bag in there and just, you know, keep, I mean, I think it tastes fine. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. But I think that with these, because how tea can get, you know, kind of, you know, bitter and stuff, and strong if you're leaving it, if you're kind of, you know, over steeping it, I think that was kind of blocking out the flavor aspect of, you know, the additional flavor that was going on. So yeah, so I'm glad I tried them. I don't know that I'm going to be, you know, rushing out to buy more. One, because there's a lot of, I mean, each of these has 40 tea bags in there, so there's quite a bit, and considering how much other tea I have on hand and I'm drinking, it's going to take me, you know, a while to go through this. And again, I have so much other tea that I don't think I need to go and, you know, rush out and buy more to have on hand. But maybe down the road, after I've used this up and I've thought, oh, it's been a while since I've had that, then sure, maybe I will give it a try again, because it's, you know, I think it tastes fine for, you know, what it is. And I can certainly see having times where it's like, oh, I'd like to have a cup of that. It's just sort of, you know, what kind of mood I'm in, what time of year it is, and, you know, what tea I'm sort of, you know, craving or thinking would be great. And I can see that there would be times where I would like this. So again, glad I picked it up. Glad that I tried it. Not saying it's, you know, my favorite tea ever, and I'm not drinking anything else again. But it was enjoyable, and I'm glad that I tried it. So now on to why I didn't get more stitching done than I did this week. I had more whips to show this week than I do a lot of weeks, because often I'm just kind of focusing on getting a significant chunk of stitching done on, you know, one or two projects. And this week I wanted to hop around and work on other things, but I had planned to stitch more than I did. And part of that reason was last weekend I had decided one evening I was really tired. I was going to go to bed early. So I went to bed early. And then I woke up a couple hours later, and it wasn't even midnight yet, but I was awake. And so I thought, oh, I'll just, you know, hop on my computer, you know, and watch YouTube or something till I get tired, go back to bed. Well, in the process of doing that, I pulled up WinStitch, because I had mentioned I had an idea for a, you know, temperature pattern. And so I thought, okay, maybe I'll, you know, play around on this, because again, that was something I had been meaning to do, and I just hadn't really focused on it yet. I had done some quick little sketches of what I thought I might want to do, but I thought, hey, you know, here it is early in the morning. I'll just, you know, open it up, play around with the program a bit, see what happens. I ended up sitting there for 5 or 6 hours and getting a good portion of the pattern mapped out. I still have things that I'm tweaking, things that I want to change. It went from being something more generic to starting to become a bit more personal. And so now I'm, looking at it, there's things that I want to change. I'm trying to decide, what sort of border I want to put around it, and I'm thinking about incorporating into the border like some little, legend thing so you can see what color goes with what temperature and all that. But for this pattern, because next year 2025 is the year of the snake, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I have snakes. I have had snakes for a while. Today I should probably show here so you can see. I have a shirt here with a snake on it. We'll see if we can kind of stand up a bit here. Here it got a snake on my shirt there. And so I knew that I wanted to do something, snake themed for this pattern, particularly because next year being the year of the snake. And I have to say that I am not somebody who was born in the year of the snake, but because I like snakes, I have been anxiously awaiting the year of the snake to come around next. So, how there's always those, fun, zodiac themed things that come out with the, the animal for the year. I want to see what cute snake things come out next year. And I've been waiting many years for this to come around again, because I think the last time was, 2013 or something. And I still have a number of tea cakes around that have, snake designs as part of their wrappers. Partially because I wanted the tea, and then plus because it was the year of the snake and I wanted snake stuff. And so I like snake things, but I'm also kind of picky about snake things as well. So we'll see. So anyway, I started making this design that is like a snake, and I may show little bits and pieces of it when I'm editing the video. But I started off just sort of doing first it was just going to be kind of generic snake. And then I started tweaking it to sort of be more like one of my personal favorite types of snakes, which is the green tree python. And then I started tweaking it more and decided I wanted to make it look more like my first green tree python. And I do not have any green tree pythons right now. And this particular snake that I was trying to, sort of make I'm not trying to do it exactly like his pattern, but making the design sort of in the spirit of his pattern. And that was actually my very first snake, who I knew I was interested in green tree pythons, and I spent a lot of time, doing a lot of research before I got that snake. And for me, because I had put in, the research and all that to kind of give myself a good starting point. And that particular snake, he had a great temperament, and he really was kind of the perfect snake for me. And unfortunately, I don't remember how many years I had him before he passed from cancer. And I know that there's only so much, for dogs and cats, there's a certain, level of veterinary care that's available now that obviously, comes with, depending on how much you do, it costs more and more money. But reptile care, although it is certainly advanced, isn't fully at the level that is there for mammals. And so when he became ill, the veterinarian that I had first gone to, it sort of became increasingly clear that that veterinarian was not going to provide the level of care that I was happy with. And so I ended up switching to another veterinarian who, and even if I had made the change sooner, the new vet still could not have done anything to save him from the cancer. But that switch was certainly a good change for the rest of the animals that I have. So a quick summary, so I'm not rambling at length about it, is that at one time I had a number of green tree pythons. They're my favorite type of snake, and I had a number of them. However, there is a virus that pythons can carry that, at least at the time that I first got into keeping snakes, that there wasn't much known about it. And then over time, it started being talked about more, and people started testing for it and realizing that it was an issue. So at some point, a snake or snakes came into my collection, and even though I did quarantine, they weren't exhibiting any signs of this virus that I didn't know was out there, and it ended up with all my pythons having this. At some point along the way, I had all my snakes tested for it, and all the pythons were positive for this, and so it became treating symptoms, and unfortunately many trips to the vet as I watched snake after snake pass, which was not fun, because losing my pets like that was not the only horrible thing going on in my life at the time. So it was a really bad period of time. And so now where I am left at is I have 3 snakes: the corn snake, the Japanese rat snake, and the ball python. And the one python is the one snake in my collection that still has this virus that I can't do anything about. So those 3 snakes will live out the rest of their lives with me, and I will not be bringing in any more snakes at the very least while I still have the ball python, because I'm not messing around with having having this transmitted to any other snakes. It's awful, and we'll leave it at that, because this is a channel about cross-stitching crafting and not about sad pet stories. But all of this, I'm going to say that going back to the first snake that I had, Bandersnatch, he's the one that I am sort of basing the snake in this pattern on. And I am, there's more tweaking that I need to do on this pattern. I've been slowly working on it. I decided, looking at it the other day, that the shape of the head that I have, I'm not really happy with, so I'm going to work on tweaking that some more. And yeah, so I will be putting more time into tweaking that. Like I said, I got a big chunk done, far more than I expected over the weekend. This week I have been poking at it here and there, and making tweaks. There's still a ways to go. My goal for this is to keep working away at that, getting kind of the pattern to where I want it. Colors. I need to pick colors. Some of the ones I think I want to use, I do have one of the threaded DMC color cards, and going through there, I've been picking out some colors, and some of them I have, some of them I need to decide on kind of what I'm looking at for options for color, and order in some stuff that I don't have so I can see in person, and make some decisions. And part of that goes back to the video that I was mentioning before with the discussions about color, because in that video was mentioned a tip which I have heard about before. I think maybe the first time I heard this tip was in an online tapestry class that I was taking. It's been a while since I've worked on any woven tapestry, but I did take some classes from Rebecca Mezoff, if you're looking for somebody who teaches tapestry weaving. She's great. But in some of her class stuff, she had mentioned the trick of taking a photo of, you know, in that case it was your yarn, and switching things to black and white to get a better idea of, you know, kind of how the colors, you know, work together and all that. And during the other video, I mentioned the Quad City Needle Minders. I think it was Miriam who mentioned taking the photos and doing the black and white on it to see how the colors work. So I need to go through that process with choosing the colors I think I want to use for this pattern, and, you know, kind of getting the colors, you know, tweaking the pattern, getting the colors nailed down, deciding what fabric I want to use, and then my goal would be that I would get the stitching for the everything except the temperature done this year. So then next year, the only thing I would need to do would be to add in the daily temperature portion. And I think that, you know, I hope that that would be then something that it would be wouldn't be too much work to do next year, because maybe I could sit down like once a week and just do, you know, the stitching for the, you know, the past week. I'm getting the temperatures added in. But we'll see. Right now, you know, obviously, like I said, I've got more work to do. And I'm at the point where I'm excited about this, so we'll see. We'll see how things go. But this is actually kind of, other than, I guess, little things here and there, like maybe if I'm working on a pattern and decide to change something about it, or little things like the feather border for the airmail. This is the first thing I've really tried, you know, designing on my own. So it's certainly a learning experience, and then we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. Like I said, it was something where it started off with an idea where it was more generic, but as time has gone on, it's certainly become more specific. Before it was a snake, and then it was a particular type of snake, and then it became my snake. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm looking at my battery, and it looks like it is kind of nearing the end here. So I suppose that is a sign that I better wrap things up. Is there anything else that I wanted to talk about? Oh, there is one thing. I'm glad I looked at my notes. I suppose I should end on, as I've tried to do an update in every video about the eSIM that I have. There was just the one that I was you know, kind of babysitting and making sure to top up. And there's still movement on it. The movement has slowed down a lot, but it's still there. And I said it was last month. There were periods of time where it was just going through so much data. I'd have to look back and see how many times I topped it up last month. And it was sort of the only kind of donation type thing that I was really doing last month, just because I had to top it up so many times. And right now it's slowed down, but I'm trying to keep an eye on it, because I don't know if it's going to start, you know, going through data again or not. I'm sort of suspecting that when it was going through a lot of data, maybe whoever had or whoever has the SIM card was maybe, you know, perhaps hotspotting things for other people. So you had multiple people using the connection, and so it was going through, you know, 10 gigabytes within, you know, like every couple days I was topping it back up. But this is, you know, there's still movement on it, but it's slowed considerably. And I don't know, I was debating doing an additional SIM card, but I want to make sure that I can keep, you know, putting money towards the ones that I have out there, and I'm just a little concerned if I did another one that started going through that much data that I wouldn't be able to keep up with it. And I know that they can give additional, cards to their people, but if I'm doing an eSIM, I would like to, once I donate it, keep it going for as long as I can. So we'll see. I'm on the fence about what to do, but we'll see. I'm sort of letting things recover a little bit while this one is going. This one's going slower in case it picks back up, because I want to commit to keep it going for as long as I can. So that's where things are at for now. I guess when this goes up, I guess it'll be at the end of March. And then I can't believe March is almost over, and then we're on to April. So I guess that's that. And I thank you for watching this video through to the end. And if you were working on a project while watching, I would love if you left a comment to tell me what you were working on. So thanks so much, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.